All right, survivors, welcome back. We are talking all things DDG and Halle. DDG has striked back. He files to stop Halle from leaving the country with their son, claiming that she is a risk to herself and the infant. Honestly, I knew he was going to strike back. I just didn't know he was going to go for the jugular like this, like with the mental health issue. This is classic narcissistic move. Guys, I'm telling you, I've been in the legal system with my own custody battle, fighting against my narcissistic ex for years. And I've heard so many horror stories of women losing custody to their narcissistic ex by allegations of mental health or mental diagnoses. So this is what he's saying about her. He is requesting that the court stop her from traveling out of the country. She has a project or maybe a movie she's working on, and he's trying to block her from traveling and asking for custody orders. He's basically saying he don't trust her with Halo. She's a danger to herself, and she poses a psychological and emotional risk to the child. Now, guys, this is what I'm thinking. Halo is 18 months old, right? He's about a year and a half. Now, she filed her motion against him, alleging, claims of abuse it's been about a month or maybe a month and a half ago. Now, this is his response to her motion. So I'm automatically thinking like this is sounding very vindictive. Honestly, because if she was that unhealthy, why not mention it 6 months ago, a year ago? So this is what this story is basically saying. He's asking for emergency hearings, so he's trying to get this heard immediately. Sometimes emergency hearings can be done very quickly. The judge can schedule it in a matter of days. They can shuffle their calendar around and schedule it within a week. He's basically saying the court shouldn't allow this because Haley isn't mentally healthy enough to care for herself and the child. This is a child that she's been caring for 18 months and carried for 9 months. Now all of a sudden she ain't mentally healthy. She unhealthy. Okay. This is seeming very vindictive. Okay. Because if you had that problem, that fear, it should have been brought up several months ago. They've been broken up for a little while. I don't know how long off the top of my head, but I know they've been broken up for a while. So why is this all of a sudden an issue now that she has filed a domestic violence restraining order against you? This is your tactic that you and your lawyers came up with. Very classic, y'all. I've heard this story millions of times about psychological issues used against mothers in the legal system. And that's terrible because that is in the statute as one of the ways that you can get custody. One of the grounds you can get custody in a lot of states is if that parent has emotional or mental issues. So let me see here. His example is including once she took his gun and left the house without telling him where she was going. DDG alleges that he ultimately found her outside just holding the weapon. Okay. So this is the first time we're hearing this. Okay. This sounds crazy. He says she was pregnant when this went down. Okay, so if she was pregnant when this went down and the baby is 18 months old, all of a sudden this is out. See, this is the problem that I have with the legal system. They got to really analyze stuff like this because I don't know what evidence he has of this, but this is something that he's claiming. They got to really analyze stuff like this because as soon as you file a motion, a lot of women are trying to get out of abusive relationships or, trying to protect themselves. But as soon as they go and file, their ex is going to file something back. Anybody can file anything, just like anybody can sue anybody for anything. You can sue your employer right now and say, your supervisor told you he wanted to beat you up or something. It's just your claim. It's an allegation, and the courts are going to uphold it. They got to review it and take it seriously. They're going to uphold it with hopefully evidence. But how they weigh the evidence, it sometimes it's weighed by testimony. Sometimes it's weighed by witnesses. Sometimes it's weighed by substantial evidence like text messages, pictures, stuff like that. So, okay. He also said she tried to have an abortion behind his back, but he ultimately changed her mind and she decided not to go through with it. See, this is messy. And I feel so sorry for the baby, but this happens every day, y'all. Every day someone is in the family court system going at it. These two are going at it with each other. They're going at it. He's coming out fighting because I honestly, the way that he's going with this, he's fighting for his son. I don't know, what the evidence is, I would like to see how this is going to play out because it's nasty. Custody battles are nasty. I've never really seen a situation, as much as I've been downtown to courthouse as far as family court, that was just like not messy. It's very nasty. And he's saying some very nasty things about her. And honestly, the last part that I just said about trying to have abortion behind his back, I think that's to tarnish her character a little bit because people see her as like, still this nice, Disney princess, nice, she's a grown woman now. She has a kid, but we still see her as like mom, like a good mom, like that's how the public views her, just as a good, generous person that just kind of got caught up with the wrong guy. But he's trying to make sure y'all look at her differently by what he's saying, because, this is pretty messy. And it's hard to really believe that, but, we don't know these people. They're celebrities. We don't know them. But this is what he's saying about her. But it's still hard to believe this. And it's still looking very vindictive on his part, So he said she sent a series of alarming text messages threatening to unalive herself and suggesting that their infant son, Halo, might also be harmed. Now, this is also very awful. And I don't know what his evidence is, but I hope he has actual evidence. And he also accused her of having abusive behavior. When she alleged that he slammed her face into the steering wheel and chipped her tooth, his version of it is that he came to pick Halo up for his custody time, but Halle jumped into his back seat when he did it, demanding they come up with a formal parenting schedule, and she became increasingly agitated and started jumping from the back seat, hitting him. And there's a picture of his thumb. It looks like some type of cut, or it's like a deep cut or something like that. I don't know how that happened, but he said she smacked her head on the steering wheel. Now that's kind of that's his version, that's his version, which is totally different from hers. He has his side, she has her side, and it's just going to play out in court the way it plays out. I'm pretty sure, she loves her son from what we've seen, and I know she's going to fight like crazy for him, but this is not looking too good. This is looking like, their son is only 18 months old and they have 18 years of this. And even in my legal situation myself, honestly, it is a nightmare. You go back and forth with your ex, your co-parent for years. It's always something. It's one of the worst things you could go through because of the stress. And I've seen her gain some weight in recent pictures. She has some stress weight. It's some stress weight on her. And it's sad, to go through this because of her level of success. And it's like, why were you planning a family with this guy that you weren't even married to? Your level of success, you had the resources to, do anything that you wanted to do. I mean, you could have had several puppies, but what would make you want to have a kid with a guy that you're not married to, and you both are so young at the, the peaks of your careers, I mean, it's very crazy. And I wish that a lot of young women would learn from this, because this is playing out in the public. And it's like, it should be a warning to younger parents to stop having kids out of wedlock, to take your time, to slow down and get to know these men. I don't care what they say or what they're promising you, but if you want to get to know someone in a relationship, have fun, take your time, slow down, pump the brakes, stay on your birth control, go travel, go to Japan, go somewhere, adopt some puppies, but it doesn't have to be a baby. It doesn't have to be starting a family with someone, because I think that God is showing us that this, the enemy is within our co-parents, within people that we share kids with. The enemy is working and using anybody, so it's at this point it becomes scary, because you are sending your kid with this person that you don't trust, that you don't like, that that has issues, whether they're drug issues, emotional issues, mental issues, and it's scary. But you didn't see this at first because you were flying and rushing and, in the love bombing phase, and rushing to have a kid, to, and it's just, look at this situation. It's such a common situation. The family court system, exes, co-parents going back and forth at it. So he got this picture of this large cut on his hand, which he says she caused it. So I hope the dates and the times match up with the incident, because I hope their lawyers get down to it, because I hate to see someone use false evidence or make false allegations. I think they need to cut that out in the legal system as a whole. It's not right. And I'm not saying his evidence is false, but I would like to see how this is going to play out. It doesn't look good right now. It looks like really messy, and the courts may even force them to share joint custody. They do that in a lot of cases where it's high conflict like this. They don't know who to believe, and they force parents to work together to figure it out. But she highly wants sole custody and physical custody. And she wants the custodial exchanges to be facilitated by a third party, because she don't trust him. She don't feel safe around him. And she's saying that he is the threat because he allegedly assaulted her in front of Halo. So, this is not looking good, but I have seen mothers lose custody. I've heard of them losing custody to mental health issues. That's what a lot of men go for. That's one of the things. It's a smart move too, because that's one of the things listed in the statute. There are only so many ways you can win sole custody, right? One of them is drug abuse. If your co-parent has drug issues, the courts, and if you have the proper proof and evidence, they weigh the evidence, one parent can get sole custody of the child, meaning they have the right to make decisions of the child's education, the child's, medical, anything medically, everything. They can make that without the other parents. The other parent they don't need their permission, basically. And this is a very powerful thing to have, because it shows that you're the more stable parent. And now the way that they're going, both of them are pointing the finger and saying, oh, this one's unstable. And she's saying he's unstable. He's saying she's unstable. So it's just going to boil down to the evidence. And I just hope that their lawyers get to present the evidence, that it's just a fair trial. I hope the judge is fair and non-biased. I hope she's not, a judge that's going to be against moms or against fathers, that she's really going to weigh the evidence. It's all about the evidence, as it should be. Because when you go down there and a judge don't even want to look at the evidence, they're just trying to make a decision, that's bias, that's bad. And it happens in the family court system. And maybe, as cases like this with celebrities standing out and their conflict being in the family court system, because these people have millions, they have access to the best lawyers. They can hire a team of lawyers. You see the Diddy trial. So us normal parents, us 9-to-5 workers, we can't even barely afford one lawyer. And this is how it goes down there. It's very expensive. Some people that go down there, it's called pro se, where you you can represent yourself. And, I've seen judges, as me represent myself, talk to pro se litigants any type of way, just because you don't have a lawyer. And it's not right. They're supposed to be following the law, following the evidence, weighing the evidence, doing their job, but they can literally talk to you any type of way, not look at your evidence, and get away with so much. It can be a really messed up system, and they got a lot of work to do. So hopefully, as time goes on, that this system changes for, they say it's about the best interest of the child, but it just doesn't never feel that way, because it seems like it's all about money. It seems like if they can keep two parents in court for 18 years and drain their pockets, then that really benefits the courts and the legal system. I don't know. So tell me what y'all think about this.